So why is that? Like, why is it harder? Like, what makes that harder?
Well, I think their nervous system is just, and I hate to generalize, but generally
Right,
speaking, it's true. Their nervous systems are pretty reactive and anxious. Like they're
right,
kind of right. And if you think about that threshold of, right, go back to the fight or flight example that you're using, right? If that threshold is here, most of us kind of sit down here most of the time. A neurodivergent kid sits right on that line all the time, and it doesn't take that much to push them. And again, it's not provoking them, it's just their nervous systems are already kind of primed to panic, to
right.
be anxious about what in our brains is no big deal, but it's real to them. That panic of, I don't know how this is going to turn out, like I don't know what's happening. If your nervous system is so primed to flip into that kind of fight or flight space, right? Things are scary and it's uncertain. And yeah, for them, it's just even worse. I mean, and think about as an adult, if you're neurotypical, if you're going into something that is uncertain, you're anxious too. Now imagine that everything feels that way all the time. Yeah, you're going to want to put some controls in place to
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think a good
minimize
example, like I
that.
said, as a neurotypical adult or whatever, like if you're going into, say, a meeting that you're really anxious about, but then you spill your coffee, or you know what I mean, or somebody else, a coworker comes up and has a question for you that's urgent, or you get a phone call or something. You know what I mean, that kind of stuff can dysregulate us as well.
Yeah.
But it's like probably more like that for them just going day to day, right? And
Yeah.
I think that the sensory sensitivities are so high that they're spending so much effort and energy just to tune stuff out,
Mhm.
or ignore that itchy tag on their shirt, or you know what I mean, or deal with wearing shoes, or hearing all
Yeah.
this weird noise, or whatever, and the lights are bright or whatever. I mean, so all that kind of stuff I think has taken up a lot of their coping energy, right? Or ability to try to stay calm-ish.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up that sensory piece because I think that's often a piece that gets overlooked. I mean, my son was diagnosed at like age 3. So we had a huge head start on that. But I know for parents who are getting diagnosis when kids are 14, 15, you're kind of catching up. And I think people overlook that sensory piece. And I think my best way of explaining what I imagine that sensory overload to be is thinking about every sensory input as being on 10. I mean, right now I'm sitting in my office. I can see out of the corner of my eye that there are pigeons on my roof and they're flapping around. But right, my brain knows don't pay attention to the pigeons. And my
But now you
dogs can
have to
hear,
because you mentioned them. So now you
yes,
can't
now
not
my
think.
pigeons are over there.
Don't think of a
Right.
pink elephant either, right? Don't
Don't
think of
look. Right. But I can hear like the fan on my computer is running right now. I can hear
right.
that. The air conditioning's on where I'm at. My dogs are down here. There's a million pieces of information coming into my head right now, but my brain knows how to ignore pigeons and just put that fan in the background. But for kids with the sensory overload kind of issue, right? Every piece of that sensory information is coming in at full volume. And the pigeons are right there, and it's hard to ignore them. And the sound is there. And if you can't quiet all that stuff down, right? How are you ever going to listen to anything your parent has to say? Number one, because that's just one more piece getting in there. So, right, they're spending so much energy kind of sorting through all that noise all the time that, I think just right? Understanding again, they need more time to make things predictable. That man, as a parent, we have to recognize that and then slow it down.